Hello friends and welcome to Penlam Edu. Today we'll be discussing daily current affairs of 27 July 2020 and I hope you are daily following this daily current affairs and also your preparation is going well. So you can comment in the comment box that how is your preparation going on, and if you have any doubt related to how to prepare for the current affairs you can also mention that. And those who have not subscribed to our channel Penlam Edu, please subscribe it and do not forget to press the bell icon to receive notifications. And guys, try to add more and more people to the session. Now let us see what are the news for today. The first news is first NABL accredited honey testing lab of India was set up at Anand. So first NABL accredited honey testing lab of India has been inaugurated by Union Minister of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Narendra Singh Tomar. And this lab has been established by the National Dairy Development Board at Anand, Gujarat. So the first NABL accredited honey testing lab has been established at Anand, Gujarat, and this lab has been established by National Dairy Development Board. This testing lab, it will open new opportunities for apiarists not only at a domestic level but also for exporting to US and Europe. The lab will also help honey farmers, cooperatives and honey industry to produce quality honey. This honey will be tested in the lab as per the norms specified by the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. So let us know something about FSSAI, that is a Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. So it is an autonomous body which is established under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So this FSSAI, this is autonomous body, and also it is a statutory body which is established under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And this FSSAI, it was established in 2011 under the Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006. The current head, or you can say chairperson of FSSAI, is Rita Teotia. So Rita Teotia is the current chairperson of SSAI and the headquarters of SSAI is located in New Delhi. Okay. So this was the information regarding this, and let us move forward. The lab has been accredited by NABL and Export Inspection Council, and also FSSAI has given approval for this as a national reference lab. Talking about the National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratories, that is NABL, it is a constituent board of the Quality Council of India. It is an autonomous body which is established under the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, which is under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And this NABL, it was formed in 1998 and its headquarters are located in Gurugram, Haryana. NABL was also in news because it gave permission to an institute which is CPET Institute, which is located in Hyderabad, for the testing and certification for PPE kits. So the PPE kits which are being manufactured in India, for that testing, and certification, CPET Hyderabad has received permission from NABL. Okay, so what are these PPE kits? These are personal protective equipment kits which include the gloves, mask, the body coveralls and etc. Recently, India became the second largest manufacturer of PPE body coveralls. PPE body coveralls. And at the first position is China. Now moving forward to the question part, where has been India's NABL accredited honey testing lab inaugurated? Gujarat, Maharashtra, Mizoram and Assam. Quickly comment the correct answer. What will be the correct answer for this? The correct answer will be option A, that is Gujarat. Moving forward to the next news. All small savings schemes extended to the branch post office level by Postal Department. Guys, keep sharing the video. Hit the like button. This will empower rural India as all the saving schemes of the post office, these will be accessible to rural people. Small savings schemes like Public Provident Fund, Monthly Income Scheme, National Savings Certificate, Kisan Vikas Patra and senior citizen saving schemes, they will now be accessible to the people through post offices in their village, because these schemes have been extended to the branch post office level also. Talking about Department of Post, so it is a subsidiary of the Ministry of Communications, which was founded in 1854 by Lord Dalhousie. Its headquarters are located in New Delhi. So the Department of Post, it is under the Ministry of Communication, and this was founded in 1854 by Lord Dalhousie. Okay, now moving forward to the question part. Who founded the Department of Post? William Bentinck, Lord Mayo, Lord Dalhousie and Robert Clive. What will be the correct answer for this? The correct answer will be option C, that is Lord Dalhousie. Moving forward to the next news. Clinical trials of HDCO19 vaccine, which is developed by Genova, likely to start by the end of this year. The clinical trials of the vaccine developed by Pune-based Genova Biopharmaceuticals, it is likely to begin by the end of this year. And this vaccine, which is named HDCO19, it is a messenger RNA-based COVID-19 potential vaccine candidate, and this is the first of its kind vaccine. This vaccine uses self-replicating messenger RNA platform, due to which low injectable dose is required and sustained antigen release will be ensured. Neutralizing antibodies have been developed in non-human primates due to this vaccine. So this vaccine was tested, and it was noted that due to this vaccine, neutralizing antibodies have been developed in non-human primates. Now moving forward, Genova, in collaboration with HDT Biotech of the USA, it has developed this vaccine, and the Department of Biotechnology has facilitated the development of this vaccine under the INSEPI mission. So it is a mission of India, which is the INSEPI mission, which was approved on 27th March 2019, and it is a program on epidemic preparedness through rapid vaccine development. And the aim of this mission is to strengthen the development of vaccines for the diseases of epidemic potential in India, as well as build coordinated preparedness in the Indian public health system and vaccine industry to address existing and emergent infectious threats in India. So overall, if we talk about what is the mission of INSEPI, is to prepare for any epidemic that occur through rapid vaccine development. So in this INSEPI mission, the Department of Biotechnology, it helps in the development of the vaccine, which will not only prepare the Indian public health system, but also it will ensure it will also aims to build the capacity of vaccine industry in India, so that the existing and the emergent infectious threats in India could be dealt with. Okay, so if the question is asked that INSEPI mission is related to which of the following, so it is related to vaccine development. Now moving forward, let us see a question. Which of the following statements is not true? Genova Biopharmaceuticals has developed the COVID-19 vaccine named HDCO19. The vaccine has been developed under the INSEPI mission. So you have to select the correct answer using the codes given below. 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, none of the above. So you have to tell which statement is not true. The correct answer is option D, that is none of the above, because both statements are true. Moving forward, famous dancer Amala Shankar, she recently passed away. She was the famous dancer and choreographer, and she passed away at the age of 101 in Kolkata. She was suffering from age-related diseases and died of cardiac arrest. She was the wife of a legendary dancer and choreographer Uday Shankar. She was awarded the Banga Vibhushan in 2011 by the West Bengal government for her contribution in the fields of arts. Now moving forward, questions are asked based on the personality which are in news. So here is the question. Recently, Amala Shankar passed away at the age of 101. She was an eminent dancer, singer, politician and writer. Very easy question. Quickly comment the correct answer. Yes, the correct answer is option A, that is dancer. Moving forward, waterway usage charges will be waived with immediate effect. So recently, Ministry of Shipping has decided to waive off the waterway usage charges with immediate effect, so as to promote inland waterways as an eco-friendly and cheaper mode of transport. And these charges will be waived initially only for 3 years. And the decision, it will have the following advantages. First of all, it will attract industries to use national waterways for their logistical needs, because now there will not be any charges, and it will reduce the burden on other modes of transport because there will not be any waterway usage charges, and due to that the movement through this waterways, this mode as a mode of transport, this waterway, it will develop, and the burden on the other modes of transport like train, airways, or you can say the road transport, so these burden will be reduced as people will prefer to go by this inland waterway. It will promote the ease of doing business in India. Moving forward, it will remove the barrier in the administration of traffic movement and collect traffic data. It will promote economic activities and development in the region. So these are some of the advantages of the decision. And the Inland Waterways Authority of India, it levied the waterway charges. The inland waterway charges are levied by the Inland Waterways Authority of India. So Inland Waterways Authority of India, it is a statutory body which is in charge of waterways in India. This was formed in 1986 under the IWAI Act of 1985. Its headquarters are located in Noida, UP, and the current chairman is Amita Prasad. And the waterway charges were as follows: 2 paise per gross registered tonnage per kilometer for plying of inland cargo vessels, and 5 paise per gross registered tonnage per kilometer for plying of cruise vessels on national waterways. So this was the charges, and now these charges have been waived off. And now quickly comment that National Waterway 1, it connects which two cities? Quickly comment the correct answer. National Waterway 1 connects which two cities? Haldia and Allahabad, or you can say the new name Prayagraj. So this National Waterway Way, this is the longest national waterway, and it connects Haldia and Allahabad. Now moving forward, let us see a question. Which of the following authority imposes waterway charges? Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, Inland Waterways Authority of India, National Highway Authority of India, and Directorate General of Foreign Trade. Quickly comment the correct answer. Which authority imposes waterway charges? The correct answer is option B, that is Inland Waterways Authority of India. E-Symposium on Handicrafts inaugurated by Tribal Affairs Minister. So recently Arjun Munda, Minister of Tribal Affairs, has inaugurated the E-Symposium on Handicrafts. This symposium was organized by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Center for Policy Research and Analysis, IIM Shillong. E-Symposium was titled Emergent Northeast India Strategic and Developmental Imperatives in Handicrafts. He said that bamboos in Northeast can be used to make better quality of agarbattis, and it can reduce the burden of import, because many agarbattis are imported and many bamboos are imported for manufacturing of agarbattis. So if the bamboos in the northeast states can be used for making better quality agarbattis, then the burden on the import will be reduced. Now moving forward, let us see a question. Recently E-Symposium on Handicrafts was inaugurated by which Union Minister? Arjun Munda, Prakash Javadekar, Amit Shah, and Piyush Goyal. Quickly comment the correct answer. Add more and more people to the session. The correct answer is option A, that is Arjun Munda. Moving forward, 17th meeting of working mechanism on India-China border affairs was recently held, and the two sides agreed early disengagement of the troops along the line of actual control in the western sector and de-escalation from the border as per the bilateral agreement and protocol. So as we all know that there has been an ongoing dispute between India and China regarding the line of actual control, as the PLA troops, they entered the Finger 4 region, and then at the Galwan Valley, at a point in the Galwan Valley, then there occurred a clash between Indian and Chinese forces. So after that, the two sides decided to put an end to this, and they agreed to completely disengage the troops along the LAC and also de-escalation from the border as per the bilateral agreement and protocols. The working mechanism for consultation and coordination on India and China border affairs was established in January 2012. Joint Secretary East Asia from the Ministry of External Affairs and the Director General of the Boundary and Oceanic Department of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs participated in the talks, and the talks were also held between the military heads of the two countries also. Now moving forward, cross-border conversations with entrepreneurs from ASEAN organized by India, ASEAN Women Business Forum and FICCI. And while addressing this conversation, Union Minister for Development of Northeastern Region Dr. Jitendra Singh said that India and ASEAN will play a lead role in the post-COVID world economic recovery. As India and ASEAN, they share common traits of courage and the cultural ties. There are common cultural ties and also close business relation between the two sides, and this will lead to economic recovery in the post-corona era. Talking about ASEAN, it is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It is a regional organization which was established on 8 August 1967 in Bangkok. The members of ASEAN are Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. Total 10 members are there, and every year East Asia Summit is held in which India also participate, and these ASEAN countries participate. They held this summit. And talking about ASEAN Summit, the 5th ASEAN Summit, it was held in 2019 in Bangkok, Thailand. Okay, and the 36th ASEAN Summit, which is to be held in 2020, will be held in Vietnam. Okay, the motto of this ASEAN organization is One Vision, One Identity, One Community, and the Secretariat of ASEAN is located in Jakarta, Indonesia. And this ASEAN was also in news long back due to the RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, from which India pulled out and did not accede to this agreement, to this partnership. And in this RCEP, 10 ASEAN states, these 10 ASEAN countries plus 6 other countries were there in ASEAN, which included countries like Australia, New Zealand, India. Okay, so these were part of RCEP, but then India pulled out of this agreement. India did not sign to this agreement. Now moving forward, what is the question? Let us see a question. Where is the Secretariat of ASEAN located? Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia and Thailand. Quickly comment the correct answer. Very easy. The Secretariat of ASEAN is located in Jakarta, Indonesia. Now moving forward to the next news, surveillance quadcopter and anti-depredation quick response vehicle was unveiled in Assam, and this will provide 24/7 surveillance over the forest cover of Assam, and also this will help to check in the increasing cases of animal-man conflict. Under the initiative, 3 special surveillance quadcopters and an anti-degradation quick response vehicle has been introduced. And if we talk about Assam, you can see the location of Assam. So it is a northeastern state. It shares its border with 2 major countries, Bhutan and Bangladesh. And if we talk about the states of India, it shares its border with West Bengal over here, then Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura. So except Sikkim, it shares its border with almost all northeastern states. Its capital is Dispur. The governor over is Jagdish Mukhi. The chief minister of Assam is Sarbananda Sonowal. Now moving forward, let us see a question. Recently, surveillance quadcopter and anti-depredation quick response vehicle has been inaugurated in which Indian state? Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Mizoram and Assam. Quickly comment the correct answer. The correct answer is option D, that is Assam. Now moving forward, Anandiben Patel has been appointed as governor of Madhya Pradesh. She is currently the governor of Uttar Pradesh and has been given the additional charge of Madhya Pradesh. And the decision has been taken after the recent demise of Lalji Tandon, who was the governor of Madhya Pradesh. Talking about governor is the executive head of the state, or you can say he is the constitutional head of the state, and the governors are appointed by the President of India. And the governor can continue in his office during the pleasure of the president. Mostly their tenure is for 5 years, but they can resign before 5 years. There is no provision of impeachment as in case of president, and a person can serve as the governor of more than one state at a time. So I would say Article 153 to Article 162 in the Constitution are mentioned about governor, and from this Article 155 it says that governor is appointed by president, and Article 153 says that a governor can serve as the governor of more than one state at a time. Okay, so this article becomes important for you, Article 153. Okay, so it states that a person can serve as the governor of more than one state at a time. Now moving forward, who has been appointed as the governor of Madhya Pradesh? Banwari Lal Purohit, G.C. Murmu, Anandiben Patel and Phagu Chauhan. Quickly comment the correct answer. Who has been appointed as the governor of Madhya Pradesh? The correct answer is option C, that is Anandiben Patel. Banwari Lal Purohit is the governor of Tamil Nadu. G.C. Murmu is the lieutenant governor of Jammu and Kashmir. Anandiben for UP and MP. And Phagu Chauhan is the governor for Bihar. Okay. Now moving forward, progress of multi-purpose projects Uj and Shahpur Kandi Dam reviewed by Jammu and Kashmir Administration Council. Recently, the progress of multi-purpose projects, which is Uj project, it is a multi-purpose project worth 9,167 crore rupees, which is located on the river Uj, which is a tributary of river Ravi. Shahpur Kandi Dam is located on the Ravi river and it will generate 206 megawatt of power in Punjab. It will reduce the outflow of the Ravi river water to Pakistan once it is completed. The Shahpur Kandi Dam project was described as a national project by the centre in 2008. Now let us see a question related to the news. Uj and Shahpur Kandi Dam project are located on which river? B. Ravi, Satluj and Jhelum. Quickly comment the correct answer. The dams which are located on a particular river, then question related to them are asked. The correct answer is option B, that is Ravi. Guys, keep commenting the correct answer. Serological survey conducted in Delhi found presence of coronavirus specific antibodies. So recently serological survey was conducted in Delhi. So this survey is conducted to know whether the person has developed antibodies against the coronavirus or not. And in the result it was found that coronavirus specific antibodies have been founded in around 23% of the samples tested, which suggests that herd immunity could be approaching. And what is this herd immunity? It is a stage in any epidemic in which some members of the community, they remain protected from the infection. Like in case of coronavirus, some people will be shielded with the infection from coronavirus. They will be shielded from the infection due to coronavirus. And why this shielding will be there? Why they will be protected? Because the majority of people around them, they would have developed the immunity either due to vaccination or being infected earlier. So the herd immunity, it is a stage of an epidemic in which some members remain protected from infection because majority of people around them have developed immunity due to vaccination or they are being infected earlier. And these antibodies which are produced in our body, they are produced against a particular virus or bacteria only after the infection has happened. And therefore the plasma collection for only those infected person is taken for those who have recurred from this coronavirus. And these antibodies, these are proteins which are produced by the immune system to fight germs that enter human body. And in the similar way a vaccine works, that when a vaccine is injected in a person, then in that an inactivated or a weak virus or virus is injected, and due to this a small infection is caused in the body, due to which antibodies are produced which neutralize that weak or inactivated virus. And again when the activated virus acts on the person, then a person is able to fight with that disease. So this is the logic behind how the vaccine works. And these antibodies which are produced in our body, these do not ensure complete protection from the disease, against the disease, and the amount of antibodies and presence of neutralizing bodies which can actually fight the disease, which is very important. So mere presence of antibodies does not ensure protection, but one has to ensure that a proper amount of antibodies are produced, and that too neutralizing antibodies must be present. Okay, so this was the whole concept about antibodies and herd immunity. Now moving forward, let us see a question. Which of the following statements is true? serological surveys conducted to know whether the person has developed antibodies against the coronavirus or not. Herd immunity is a stage of an epidemic in which some members remain protected from the infection because majority of people around them have developed immunity. So you have to select the correct answer using the codes given below. 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, and none of the above. So what will be the correct answer? Which statement is true? Quickly comment. The correct answer is option C, that is both 1 and 2. Moving forward, world's first electrified rail tunnel which is fit to run double stack containers to be operational in 12 months. So in the next 12 months, the world's first electrified rail tunnel fit to run double stack containers will start operating in the western dedicated freight corridor. The tunnel, it will connect the two districts of Haryana, which are Mewat and Gurugram. It is one of the biggest railway tunnels in India, cross-sectional area wise. So if we talk about in the terms of cross-sectional area, then it is one of the biggest railway tunnels in India. Double stack container goods train will be able to run at a speed of more than 100 km from this tunnel, and the implementing agency for this project is Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India Limited. So a question can be asked that who is the implementing agency of this project? So it is Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India Limited. Now let us see a question. The world's first electrified rail tunnel fit to run double stack containers will be operational in next 12 months. This tunnel connects which two districts of Haryana? Karnal, Mewat, Gurugram and Bhiwani. So you have to select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 and 3, 3 and 4, 2 and 3, 2 and 4. Quickly comment the correct answer. This tunnel will connect the which two districts of Haryana? The correct answer is option C, that is 2 and 3, that is Mewat and Gurugram. So friends, here we have covered the daily current affairs and related questions, and I hope you like this video. Please like the session, share it as much as you can, and keep following daily current affairs, keep preparing well. Take care. We'll meet you again. Thank you so much.